Hello, so this is your Algebra Unit 1, Concept 2, Lesson 2 video. Today, remember you should be filling this in on your guided notes as we go. Today, scholars will use multiple representations to represent and solve multi-step equations. So we're going to look at a couple different ways to solve these. Okay, so the first way we are going to look at representing is with cups and counters. In this case, we are going to represent the equation 3x plus 2 equals 8 with cups and counters. So we represent our x's with cups. So I have 3 cups. We're going to pretend like they look a little bit more like cups than they do. So I have 3 cups and 2 positive counters. Everything's positive, so we're just going to use positives. And that equals, on the other side, I have 8 positive counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You should be drawing this in the spot on your guided notes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, all the sides I have 2 counters. I take 2 counters off each side. That cancels out. It keeps it balanced. So I can remove 2 counters from each side. So after I do that, I could either redraw it or I could just erase this. I'm just going to erase those. I'm left with 3 cups equals 6 counters. So if 3 cups equals 6 counters, that means each cup is equivalent to 2 counters. Notice I can group them. A cup and 2 counters, a cup and 2 counters, a cup and 2 counters. So that gives me x by cups equals 2. So let's look at another way to do this. We could also do it with algebra blocks. Algebra blocks are very similar to the cups and counters. In this case, we're just going to use rectangles that say x as our x's. So once again, I have 3 x's plus 2 counters equals 8 counters. And again, I'm going to say, okay, well, I can take off 2 counters from each side. So let me just erase those 2 counters from each side. And that leaves me with each x being worth 2. And that all equals out. Finally, we can check our work. We've said that each time x equaled 2. So we can go into our equation and simply put in 2 for x. So I have 3 times 2, because remember with the next show that means times, plus 2 equals 8. We're going to do our order of operations. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 plus 2 is 8. If 8 equals 8, which it does, then it's correct. So let's move on to one that's a little bit more difficult. Here I have 4x minus 2 equals 6x minus 8. So I'm going to draw my 4 cups. They should all be the same size. I just am not the world's best drawer. And I'm minusing 2. So I'm going to use 2 yellow counters to represent those are negatives. And the equals. On the other side, I have 6 cups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 cups. And then we're going to subtract 8 counters. So we do 8 negatives. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here I have my 4 cups, 4 x's, and negative 2. And then I have my 6 x's and negative 8. So the first thing to do is I'm going to take 4 cups off each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why am I doing that? Well, I want to end up with what each cup equals. So just like I can subtract the counters as long as I do it from both sides, I can do the same thing with my cups. So let's erase these cups that I crossed out. Now I am left with negative 2 negatives equals 2 cups and 8 negatives. So now I'm going to cancel out 2 negatives on each side. So I am going to subtract 2 negatives. Both sides, I will erase those. Now this does leave me with an interesting problem. there's nothing left on the left side. Well, that's okay. Sometimes we have nothing. How do we represent nothing in math? We represent it with a 0. I'm just not going to write the 0 on there. So the next thing we need to do is I still need to get the cups on one side and the counters on the other. How do I get rid of those 8 negative counters? Well, it's very easy. I'm going to add, or 6 negative counters. I'm going to put 6 positive counters on each side. Now, why did I do this? Well, because plus 1 minus 1 combines to equal 0. So each of these sets is 0. They are called a 0 pair. So I'm just going to know that all that goes away. So let's erase all of those that are going to cancel. I know I had my 0 pairs. Now I'm left with 2 cups is equal to 6 counters. Well, that's easy enough for me to solve. I know that each cup must be equal to 3 counters. So let's look at this with AlgBlocks. With AlgBlocks, we're going to do the same thing. We have our rectangles that are our x's. We have our 2 negatives equals, once again, our rectangles. We have 6 of them this time. And then we have our 8 negatives. Well, let's do it in a little different order this time. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 8 positives to get rid of these 8 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll do the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On this side, they all match up and cancel, or we're going to go away. On this side, something else happens, though. These ones are going to add up and go away. The rest of those are going to stay. So I'm going to erase all my stuff that cancels. And then I'm going to keep going. Next, I'm going to take off 4 x's from each side. Once I've canceled them out, I'm just going to erase them like I did before. And I'm left with, once again, 6 positives equals 2 positives, positive x's. So I have x equals 3 and x equals 3. So, finally, we're going to our work. We learned each time that x equaled 3. So I have 4 times 3 minus 2 equals 6 times 3 minus 8. 4 times 3 is 12 minus 2 equals 6 times 3 is 18 minus 8. 12 minus 2 is 10. 18 minus 8 is 10. So we did it correctly. There you go.